all know what I'm really saying, don't we? It's time. Time to scrape myself from her walls. Unstick the memorabilia that has accumulated. Piled high stacks, report cards, photos, letters, the furnishings of her soul. Overstuffed and out of date, perched in the break fronts and old credenza drawers. Like the Campere china, too fragile to use, but too emotionally valuable to throw out. It's time to finger my way back into the dark corners and tug at the clots that have stuck fast, unexamined for years. The coagulation of mother-daughter glue. Peel away the membranes, expose, decipher, sort, what to keep, what to throw away. I'm in control now. Don't forget, it was me who gave life to her chance to feel itty-bitty feetsies and teensy-weensy fistsies. And now it's time to vacuum the last remnants of me that cling to the sponge of home. A little bleach and I'm good to go. Turn off the lights, say goodnight, and leave the room as I found it. Unwound, I will be free. If you want to calculate the vintage of the eggs you came from, take your mother's date of birth and subtract about 20 weeks. Unlike males who constantly generate sperm after they hit puberty, girls are born with their one and only lifetime supply of eggs. Around the 20th week of gestation, a female fetus has developed a reproductive system including 6 to 7 million eggs in her ovaries. The matrilineal line looks much like a nested Russian doll. The egg that created you was formed inside of your mother's fetus while she was inside of your grandmother's womb. When you search for your birth parents, people assume that when you find them, the searching will be over. I found the opposite to be true. It was the beginning. Although our reunion was the happiest on the outside, inside for the past, let's say 25 years, I feel as if I've been floating around in a shipwreck, searching for the parts of myself that were lost in the adoption process. And so these pieces I'm going to read tonight have recently surfaced, and some are poems and some are just pieces of wreckage. My mother arrived at the birth center wearing a white surgical mask. I have a cold, she said. I don't want to spread my germs. She was nervous to hold the baby, Dominique, 3 hours old, and was pretty skeptical about the midwives. But they did seem awfully confident, even though there didn't appear to be any doctors about, or men for that matter. These eggs in me were not hers. They belonged to another woman, a stranger. My mother's eggs had never hatched. Just once, my mother came close to having a baby of her own, but it fell into the toilet of the 13th floor ladies' room at the Gilchrist Company where she worked. I don't remember if the way I remember it is true or not. Was I too young to understand when she told me about the miscarriage, or has it just been folded into the memory of her telling me that I was adopted? I remember it from the same vantage point of childhood, the hem of her gray skirt, under the overhead, violets strewn along mossy paths. She told me she could see its little body floating in the water, and the doctor told her to wrap it up and bring it in so that he could have a look. Did I imagine it? Or did she describe how she scooped it up out of the toilet and foreign-born baby to the doctor's office? I know she called Andrew, and he left the office early and met her there. I remember thinking, brother or sister? What would it be? Despite the fact that I knew full well that even then, if that baby had not fallen into the toilet, there would have been no need to wonder about a brother or a sister. I wouldn't have existed as her daughter. And that was what she called her touch of pregnancy. It was a shame, she told me. Shame. The lost baby. A phantom baby. Who grew up and became my imaginary friend. Skipper and then Fran. This baby lived with us like a ghost that only I could see. I fed him peas at the dinner table. We leaped from stone to stone into the woods, rubber toes of my PF flyers, keeping time with his. He was my companion. This baby was the baby that wasn't, so that I could be. Out of the inadequate specimen of her womb grew we two. The one who never would, the one who got away, and me, the one they sutured into the family tree to grow their heart's desire. Me, the space holder of their dreams. Forced blooms. My mother was good at forcing blooms. She brought me, barely budded, into her warm house and arranged my severed limbs in a tall crystal vase as the centerpiece of her life, fed me tap water, and admired my many blossoms, their fragrance and loveliness, an uplifting reminder that spring did bring hope eternal. I was an emblem of fertility and the cycles of family. Through the panes of my glass house, I could see other trees whose fingers sifted through gossamer strands of light, whose toes sunk deep down into the dark mysteries of earth. I could hear the sap run up and down in a never-ending circle of belonging, and feel the echoes in my phantom extremities itch. I had no choice. Truncated or not, it was my purpose to flower. My heart never ripened. Its seeds evaporated into the husks of unmetabolized dreams. No fruit to fall,